They told us we were the good guys, that America was built on freedom, justice, and resistance against tyranny, that we rose up against the British Empire because we refused to live under imperial rule. But what if we became the very thing we fought against? What if behind the red, white, and blue an empire was quietly born? One that spans continents, topples governments, extracts resources, and enforces control through hidden hands. Not with crowns and scepters, but with drones, dollars, and deals. Before we dive into the secrets of America's hidden empire, take 1 second to hit the like button and subscribe, because what you're about to hear is the truth they never taught you in school. Let's begin. America never called itself an empire. That's the genius. See, traditional empires like Britain, Spain, or Rome planted their flags, built colonies, and openly ruled foreign lands. But America wore a different mask. It branded itself as the liberator, the defender of democracy. It told the world, we're not here to conquer, we're here to help. But let's trace the footsteps. From the ashes of the revolution to the rise of global dominance, the truth is darker than the myth. It started in 1803 with the Louisiana Purchase. Overnight, the size of the U.S. doubled. Then came the forced removal of Native American tribes. The Trail of Tears wasn't just a tragedy, it was a land grab, a territorial expansion executed under the guise of destiny. From coast to coast, the American government cleared out indigenous populations to build railroads, towns, and profit systems. Entire nations wiped off the map. But even that wasn't enough. In 1898, something shifted. America went offshore. The Spanish-American War gave the U.S. control over Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines. The war was sold to the public as liberation for the oppressed. But the result? America became a colonial power. The Philippines were promised freedom. Instead, they got war, occupation, and a brutal crackdown that killed over 200,000 civilians. Sounds familiar? That's not liberation, that's empire. Fast forward to 1953. Iran, the democratically elected Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh decided to nationalize Iran's oil to benefit his own people. That didn't sit well with the U.S. and Britain. So the CA staged a coup, overthrew him, reinstalled a pro-Western dictator, the Shah, who ruled with an iron fist for decades. Why? Because Western corporations needed the oil, and Iran wasn't the only one. Guatemala, Congo, Indonesia, Vietnam, one by one the CIA orchestrated coups, supported military juntas, or funded brutal regimes, all in the name of stopping communism. But behind that ideological curtain was a deeper motive: control, economic access, strategic dominance. Democracy was the sales pitch. Empire was the business model. Even the military bases tell the story. While most empires collapsed and pulled back, the U.S. expanded. Today, America maintains over 750 military bases in more than 80 countries. No other nation comes close. Germany, Japan, South Korea. The wars ended long ago, but the U.S. stayed. Why? Because control doesn't always need conquest, it just needs presence. The empire exists, it's just hidden in plain sight. And here's where it gets deeper. American corporations became the new colonizers. From Coca-Cola to Chevron, from Nike to Nestlé, USE-based multinationals embedded themselves across the world, extracting resources, exploiting cheap labor, and shaping economies in their image. Poor countries didn't need to be invaded. They were simply developed under terms set by the IMF and World Bank. Loans with strings attached. Entire nations fell into debt traps, forced to privatize, deregulate, and open their markets, often at the expense of their own people. The tools of empire evolved. Less muskets, more markets. Less armies, more algorithms. But the result? The same. One global order, one invisible hand, one empire dressed in democracy. And here's the haunting twist: America believes it's the hero. Our history books teach us that we defeated tyranny, that we liberated the oppressed, that we stood up for the little guy. And sometimes we did. But often those stories left out the coups, the invasions, the corporate exploitation, and the civilian casualties. They left out the why. Because if you saw the whole picture, you'd ask the unthinkable question: were we the villain all along? Let's talk about Vietnam. Over 3 million Vietnamese people died. Napalm burned villages. Entire generations traumatized. It was framed as a fight for freedom. But in truth, it was about stopping a nation from going a different way, economically, politically. It had nothing to do with freedom for the Vietnamese. It had everything to do with influence, markets, and fear of losing global dominance. Then came Iraq, weapons of mass destruction. That was the lie. But behind the invasion was oil, regional control, and geopolitical chess. Over 100,000 civilians killed, a nation destabilized, chaos unleashed. Ask yourself what empire ever said it was the bad guy. The Roman Empire claimed it brought civilization. The British Empire claimed it brought order. The American Empire claims it brings freedom. But the people on the ground, in Baghdad, in Saigon, in Tehran, what do they remember? We never planted flags. But we planted influence. We never declared an empire. But we built one, economic, military, cultural, from Hollywood to Silicon Valley, from Wall Street to Washington. The empire of influence is more powerful than any colony. It shapes minds, economies, and elections. It sets the rules and punishes those who break them. And here's the most terrifying part: the American people were barely aware. Because empire wasn't just built abroad, it was built at home. Mass surveillance, corporate monopolies, a economy, endless wars funded by taxpayers but profited by defense contractors. The people were distracted with division, debt, and despair, while the empire expanded, and anyone who questioned it, labeled unpatriotic, silenced, forgotten. But now the curtain is lifting. More Americans are waking up, asking harder questions, looking beyond the slogans and seeing the structure underneath. And the question now is not whether we became an empire. We did. The question is, can we dismantle it? Can we return to the principles we claim to stand for: freedom, justice, democracy, not just for us, but for everyone? Because history teaches us something vital: empires don't last forever. They rise, they dominate, and eventually they fall. But this time the ending is unwritten, and it starts with truth. This is the empire you were never supposed to see. But now you do, and once you see it, you can never unsee it. So if this truth resonated with you, share this video, leave a comment, and subscribe. Because more Untold history is coming,